I'm at the London-based allotment plots today. I took a drive down because I thought it would be wise to use the space that I've got to be able to grow some additional food really. So although I do things like potatoes every year, I tend to just stick with the main crop, whereas today I'm planning to put in some first earlies and some main, just because of the shortages of food at the moment. Now, I'm not one to panic buy, and neither is Kelly, but well, we've got the space to be able to grow our own food, and if there's ever a time to have an allotment where it's going to, you know, seriously benefit your family and your neighbours, it is now in the crisis of coronavirus. So yeah, I bought some additional seed potatoes, just because I'm aware that because people are panic buying, there's not a lot in the shops at the moment. Where I live, I can't actually get hold of any potatoes, not even the tin variety. So yeah, I've got some with me now that I bought from my new allotment shop. So yeah, I'll show you what they are straight after this. So guys, for my main crop, I've gone with Charlotte. I've grown them before. I'm aware many people who follow this channel have also grown these and said that they were, you know, a pretty good, stable crop to go with. Last year I did do all of my potatoes in pots, and although we had mixed results, we did get quite a large crop, but they were pretty small potatoes. And I think the reason for that is because I over crammed the buckets basically. I put 2 to 3 seed potatoes into each 30-litre pot, which I knew would give me a smaller crop, but it was an experiment. At the time we was testing cheap budget seed potatoes versus the premium kind that costs, you know, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 times more in price. So yeah, I've gone for Charlotte because they're a staple crop, and I'm not going to cram the beds, which is where I'm going to be putting them. I'm not going to be doing them in pots. I'm going to be putting them in beds, and this is going to be the first real trial of a waterless garden. So yeah, once I've put them in, I'm going to mulch the top, give them a water and walk away. And yeah, fingers crossed, with everything I've learnt doing my horticultural diploma and everything I've learnt in over 10 years of gardening and growing my own food, I'm feeling pretty confident that we should get quite an okay-ish crop from a bed that's not getting water directly from, you know, me. It's going to get it from the environment and from the ground. The second seed potatoes I've got, I only bought because the guy that sold them to me, and these were only £2.20 a bag, which was really cheap because the garden centres and that, these are like £5-6 a bag. So this was from my local allotment shop. They called it the Hub, and yeah, they have things like seed potatoes, onion sets, shallots, things like that. And the guy that was selling them said he had one pack of this variety, which is was it a first early? I think it was a first early, and he didn't know what they were. And it just says on it, International Kidney. Now, I've not heard of that. I'm not sure if that relates to the seed potato or something else altogether. And we had a chat among myself, the guy in the shop, and the actual committee who was there at the time I bought these. And we was all sort of trying to work out what they were. And I've never heard of them, and nobody else had heard of them. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them, but that is all it says on the packaging, International Kidney. And like I said, we hadn't heard of them, so I thought it was the last pack there because, you know, people were buying them because they wanted to just have a bit of fun growing, really. So, but yeah, we're looking for a bit more of a staple crop this year, guys. I'm not saying, you know, food is going to be in short supply permanently, but, you know, if we can grow our own, at least we're putting a little bit of a less strain on the shops, if anything. And, you know, that's how I see me doing my bit. You know, if I can sustain my little household growing, you know, things like this, then that's what I'm going to do. And, you know, we're going to enjoy doing it together throughout my series of videos this year. So yeah, International Kidney was a first early, so I wasn't sure whether I should save these and put them at the new allotment plot and just put in the main crop. Now, I would have bought more of these, but this was also the last bag, so I do plan on getting some more seed potatoes in between, you know, working the new plot and still coming here. You know, you can put seed potatoes in any time of the year, really, as long as you can look after them. As a rule of thumb, you know, any later than March and you might, you know, be set back ever so slightly, but I'll put potatoes in all through the year. You get different complications depending on when you put them in, but if you can get your seed potatoes in March, that is prime time for the UK. Now, I haven't chitted these simply because I've only just got them. Probably why they were the last ones there, because I am slightly late in getting them in. But chitting your potatoes is not essential, it's optional. And all chitting is, if you're not familiar, is you would just set them somewhere like a, you know, in an egg carton or in a cardboard box, or even just in a plastic tray, and just line it with paper just so that they don't sort of touch and start to go off, basically, where they're going to start to rot. Give them lots of ventilation and just watch them produce shoots, basically. And that's your head start in the game, really. So when you put the seeds into the bed, the ground, the pot, whatever it might be, they're already one step ahead of if you just take them out the bag. But they will still grow if you, let's go for the Charlotte, if you just simply take them out of the bag like this and stick them in the ground. Chitting is not essential. I mean, sometimes I prefer to do it. Other times, like now, where, you know, I am a bit limited for time at the moment, because again, I'm building a new allotment. But they're not too bad at all, guys. You know, they've already got shoots, chits growing all over them. So yeah, for those of you again who don't know, when you buy your seed potatoes, if you plan on getting them in the next sort of week to 2 weeks, just leave them in the light, basically. That's going to encourage them to produce these chits. If they get too long, then they can snap when you start to cover them over, and that's obviously not going to be a good thing. They can still grow, but you need the seed potato to give the shoot its energy to be able to produce new potatoes, your crop, essentially. So yeah, these are looking, you know, really healthy for the money. So yeah, all I'm going to do is I'm going to choose one of the beds. Probably all of the 4 sit on beds, because they're really deep. They go straight the way down into the ground, into the earth, so they are going to get water. And yeah, we are hopefully going to get a crop from a waterless garden. We're going to give these one drink, that's it, one drink, and that's, you know, primarily down to the fact that I'm 100 miles away from my gardens here. So yeah, we'll see what happens. If anything, it's another experiment, and I am aware that you can get a decent crop of potatoes, not necessarily giving them no water. I mean, they still need a drink, but they're gonna hopefully get it from the ground. That is the experiment here. So I'll try and come out the wind a little bit here, guys, and this is what we're going to be using to grow our potatoes in. Now, this is just a mixture of wood chip and compost. There's also leaf mold in here as well, which is just leaves that have been shredded and broken down. And this bed, which is pretty deep, I'd say it was on its way to 2 feet deep, and it does go straight into the earth as well, is going to be ideal for the potatoes. So yeah, I will top dress this with mulch as well when it comes to actually covering over the seed potatoes, and hopefully this will provide enough, you know, nutrients and water so that we can get a very sustainable crop this year. Yeah, so all we're going to do is we're just going to dig a hole. I'm going to go as deep as possible for these seed potatoes, and I'm probably going to aim for between 5 and 7 per bed, but we'll see how we go. It's quite rich. It's still a bit, you know, gritty, but this is going to be ideal for potatoes, providing I can get every single one out once they've grown, because we obviously don't want to leave any behind to possibly get diseased and continue growing into our next season. So guys, what I decided to do is go for a bit of the old square foot gardening here for this one, and we're going to do 3 rows of 3, so literally one there and one here, and that will allow us to have 9 seed potatoes in this bed, you know, giving us potentially a huge crop from just one bed out of the many on this plot. So yeah, as I've got deeper in here, you can see that this is, you know, fully broken down organic matter mixed in with the compost. So it's absolutely beautiful stuff, and it's very, very damp the deeper you go. So providing they don't rot away, there's a worm in there as well, so that's really good stuff. Providing they don't rot away, they should do absolutely fine. And I'm aware this is a no dig bed, but unfortunately space is of the essence. So yeah, once I've dug this over and removed the potatoes, I'll come back and I'll top dress it, add a layer of cardboard, and then I guess we'll just leave it alone and let it do its thing. But for now, this is the number one place I can think of putting them, where they're going to be able to take care of their self. And you'd plant it so that the shoots or the chits are facing upwards, just like that. Guys, I'm going to add on some of the wood bedding now, which is just the bedding from the horse manure. Adds a bit of a top dressing just to retain the moisture. I'm going to go for about 2 to 4 inches and see if it works basically. We'll find out in about 100 days.
Guys, we managed to get 27 seed potatoes in 3 out of the 4 raised beds. Now, it was extremely windy towards the end of this video, so I decided to just round it up there, and I'll revisit this in around 100 days and show you what kind of crop we got.